tots or something.
They don't respond
Okay.
to that
With
one.
chicken.
With chicken.
I
Yeah.
tried that last time. They like it when I just tweet it or when I tweet my face. Yeah.
And then I would need your card.
I need
We are here live in Eugene, Oregon for day 2 of the U.S. Olympic trials. Man, we rushed out of that stadium because we needed to get on the mics. Caitlin can't even sit still. Chris Chavez, Mitch Dyer, Caitlin Hutchison over here. And let's get right into it. Caitlin, it looks like you got a thing or two to say.
First of all, this is to Noah Lyles. We're not a sprint podcast. Okay, Bookie, because this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about sprints. Okay, my bad. The mic wasn't working. This is to Noah Lyles. We're not a sprint podcast with Bookie. We're going to talk about some sprints right now since you want to say that we don't talk about sprints. Dennis Mitchell, whole training group, sweep, 1, 2, 3. Sha'Carri Richardson, number 1. Then we've got Melissa Jefferson, baby. That 10-7 is coming soon. Don't let nobody tell you different. And then TeeTee Terry. First of all, sorry. I got so much stuff today. So much stuff to say because y'all know I stay on Twitter. To Jamaican track Twitter, I'm about to get on y'all about TeeTee Terry because y'all been cooking her for weeks. Y'all been saying, because y'all don't be using her name. Y'all be saying disrespectful stuff. Y'all be like, so-and-so this, so-and-so that. I know you be talking about. Y'all be like, she not going to make the team. She ain't this, she ain't that. She only a relay lady. Well, what you got to say now? Because she's number 3 and she's going to Paris. And when she's on that podium for a USA sweep, you're not going to have nothing to say.
Wow.
I said it. USA sweeping in Paris. Sha'Carri, Melissa, and TeeTee. And I don't care what nobody else has to say. Come get me because you're not ever going to touch me. Okay? That's literally it. Like, track and field is just so freaking amazing. Sha'Carri Richardson is going to Paris. She is really doing her thing. She was the world champion last year. Now she's about to be the Olympic champion. And not only that, she is going with her teammates. You know Dennis Mitchell do not play about his kids. Okay? And all of his kids are going to Paris. And when we win that 4x1 relay too, I don't want to hear nothing else.
Oh boy.
Stop playing with USA.
All right.
What a tangent. Hey.
What an intro. Honestly, incredible work, Caitlin.
I got nothing else to say. That's it.
Wow.
Wow. That was special to have a front row seat for that. That was actually incredible. I've never seen that. Anything like that.
Hey! If you're not with USA, then you're not with us. If you're not rocking with USA, get out the chat.
Should I go? Should I just leave?
Yeah, I think, honestly, this is Caitlin's show now.
Hi.
Oh, my gosh. So, let's break down that race, right?
Talk about it.
So, right from the get-go, it was Sha'Carri Richardson's day. First round, what was the time of the first round?
It was 10:86.
Yep. Today, right?
Yep.
And then she storms back with a 10:71.
Woohoo!
That's a world-leading time. At this point right now, Sha'Carri Richardson is the gold medal favorite. There's no question about it.
I understand, because look, like, I'm a track and field fan at the end of the day, so I understand, like, wanting Shelly and Sharika and Elaine to, like, be in that form, but honestly, it's really hard to bet against Sha'Carri Richardson right now, and it's not just because I just went on a whole USA rant. It's really just because, like, she is extremely in form, and not to mention, she's there with her girls now, too, so it's no reason why she shouldn't have the confidence physically and mentally to be able to put up a gold medal, because she already won against the greats last year. So why not have the confidence to do it again this year in Paris?
Okay, so right now, like, obviously, an assessment of the rest of the world. Jamaica struggling in the 100 meters. I think Sha'Carri's biggest worry right now is Julian Alfred. And, like, total respect to the 60-meter world champion. And then on top of that, just sort of, like, she, in the fastest race that she's run so far this season, had a bad start and still ran fast. So, like, I think this is setting up for, you know, Melissa Jefferson's coming into great form. Like, it's going to be a little weird, right? Now, like, in Claremont, Florida, where, like, your biggest competitor possibly for that gold medal is training with you.
But here's the thing, like, all of them are very calm. Like, none of them stress, especially TeeTee, because all of us are waiting to see, like, if it was her or not. And so I think the best thing about all three of them is, like, yeah, obviously, like, Melissa will want to have gold. TeeTee will want to have gold. Sha'Carri will want to have gold. But I think it's at the point now to, like, whichever one of the three of them get it, like, it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be gold for the whole group. It's going to be gold for all of them. So it's going to be really interesting to see, but none of them were stressed, you know, because usually what happens with Sha'Carri, you know, her start isn't the best out of everybody's, but, like, before she gets to, like, the halfway mark, she starts to pull away. But Melissa was like, no, I'm ready to have the race of my life, so we about to lock in, we about to tap in. And while Melissa was running right next to Sha'Carri stayed calm, and when she had that opportunity to pull away, that's what she did. But Melissa also didn't stress. She's like, okay, cool, I'm in the form of my life, Sha'Carri might be gone, but it's time for me to bring it in. And TeeTee was like, hey, man, I'm about to make it a sweep. So you know.
I think for TeeTee, this was the race of her life. She has had, I guess, like nothing stellar in the first 2 rounds, and then to come out and pull out a 10:89 season's best right when it mattered most, like incredible run by her.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, Mitch, for you, this is your first time at a U.S. Olympic trials. Your first ever 100-meter final experience. What did you make of it?
I mean, that was pretty incredible. I mean, I was at Budapest last year, so I mean, I've seen major 100s go down, but like that crowd, what I love about it is you can hear a pin drop in that joint. Like when that is on, except for that one chick screaming. I don't know if you heard some chick scream. What was going on. I'm not about that. That chick can get the hell out. But outside of that, dude, and then once it's on and like you're behind me, you're screaming, I'm like, what the hell is that? And then everyone's screaming behind me. And TeeTee also had a lot of love in those semis. So I was sort of trying to take in like, all right, who are the people I need to be watching here? I don't know. Is she an Oregon girl? Or like, what is it about her that everyone's rocking with her so hard? Like, what is it?
She's USC, but I think this crowd remembers TeeTee the most from when she anchored the 4x1 and they beat Jamaica, and she did like
this is her dance.
The celebration.
Oh, was that in 22?
Yes, right here.
No shit, I was here for that. I was here for that
too, and she's just
okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like that is why I'm glad that TeeTee is on this team. Like it's really sad for me because I really wanted Aaliyah Hobbs in my top 3. Like I feel like she's been waiting so long to have her individual chance to compete, but honestly she made the finals. I'm sure that she can be in the relay pool, and honestly, you know, if they do end up putting her on the relay and the relay goes ahead and wins gold, like she will have that medal under her belt, so she will end up getting something, but it is just really unfortunate. But I'm still extremely happy for TeeTee because like I said, like people only view her like as a relay warrior, you know, like we said, like she held off Sharika Jackson back in 2022. She was second leg and absolutely dominated against Shelly Ann last year, and so a lot of people are just like, well, she can't do nothing as an individual. But she came here, she's ran one of the best races that she's ran in the past maybe 3 or 4 years, and it just absolutely dominated that field.
So I got to ask you, you've called the sweep. You made a sweeping declaration, right? The US is going 1, 2, 3. Can the order change? Or is it the same 1, 2, 3 for gold, silver, bronze? Like, can it mix up? Like you said, they're all training partners, but
honestly, I think I still see it like as the order that it is.
Same way.
I don't know if I have a reason why. I just think
it's like a gut feeling.
It's hard to take gold away from Sha'Carri. I think Melissa is just really gonna try to hold on to like what she's got right now, because when she runs 10-7, like I mean she's already elite, but like baby, you up there with your teammate, as in like it's not just gonna be Sha'Carri pulling away from you. It's gonna be like y'all are gonna have to get to the line together and see who did first. And then, you know, like I said, like TeeTee, I just don't think she's gonna let them get away from her. But I think like those two are just running like a little bit faster.
A little bit above.
But it's okay. But it's okay because like I said, she is the one who held off the Sharika Jackson, and she is the one who held off the Shelly Ann. So like I'm not worried about her at all.
I want to spin it real quick. Internationally, last year it was like Sha'Carri, what can she do? What can she do? She was lane 9, she wins it. It's like, oh my god, yeah, Sha'Carri's the greatest. How good is it in a 1 year span? It's gone from like, oh shit, we don't know about Sha'Carri.
But then like now it's like,
shit, come and get it. You want that goal? Come get it. It's
been so interesting because you could like feel the progression throughout the season last year, where it was just like, okay, we don't know what's going on with Sha'Carri, but then every race that she won, it's like more and more people started to be like, okay, she
I'm
could
a
probably do this.
You're in it now.
We might be willing to do something, but then it was also still kind of hard because it's like Shelly, Elaine, and Sharika were still very much like, okay, like we're here and we're in this mix. And it's now gotten to the point to where it's like, no, like you can't bet against this woman. Like even when she almost stumbles and falls on her face out of the blocks, you cannot bet against her.
But even this final, her start was so bad. She was so far back.
Yeah. In general, just sort of like Sha'Carri cleans it up at the right time. We've gotten a sneak peek at like the Netflix series. There's a lot of really cool behind the scenes stuff from that World Championship final in Budapest, and I think like the fans are really gonna love that one. In general, I think like Sha'Carri's the person to beat. She's, I think, head and shoulders above everyone else, but there's people coming.
There are people coming, and I think if USA doesn't sweep, I believe that Sha'Carri's biggest competitor is going to be Julian Alfred.
Yeah.
And honestly, I would love to see her podium as well, because I'm always
now that breaks up your sleep.
My first choice of scenarios is obviously USA sweeping. Like that's what I want, and that's what I believe. Yeah. But then under that, if that is not the case, then I see the second scenario being Julian Alfred on the podium.
Yeah. And I'll say it right now, like the gut feeling is Jamaica gets left off of the podium as of right now in the 100 meters.
No one there at all.
No one right now. Like they're in trouble.
And here's the thing though, like I'm really getting on the Jamaican fans about this one because I don't like how when your athletes don't do well, y'all be yapping at the mouth about them on Twitter talking about some, oh well, it's so terrible that so and so is running so bad. Like, leave them alone. Like, I'm pretty sure all three of them are going through like their own like things. Like,
there's a lot going on.
Shelly Ann is getting older. I mean, she's had a great run. Elaine is dealing with some injuries. She has been for like the past year or so, and then Sharika is just not necessarily there yet, and that's okay. So if it doesn't happen, please, Jamaica, do not blow up your entire island because the people that you know, love, and hold dear to your heart do not, complete the task as you've asked them to do.
But this is my question then. Don't you think the pedigree of what they've done in the past, when they get to that championship point, can start to shine through, right?
That's
where sort of like, all right, like historically, like, is there magic that happens, come the Olympics?
100%.
And like 100%. Like, it just like athletes will rise to the occasion. Shelly Ann has been one of those athletes time.
She was
after
injured
time
majority
after
of
time.
last year too, and she still got her a medal. So
yeah, so this race is going to be interesting. And one more thing kind of about the women's 100 specifically is that this is fantastic news for the 4x1. I mean, the fact that 3 of the legs are the top 3 training, or their training partners. They just went 1, 2, 3. And then behind that, like, the 4th person who fills this is Gabby Thomas, I think, right?
And I think that's what it's gonna end up being. And I think the thing why I love this is because no matter what combination of women that they put out there, I think we're gonna be perfectly fine. Because honestly, like you said, if we put Gabby Thomas back in the relay, which I'm sure that we will,
so she would be what, 3rd leg?
She would. I think they would keep the same order and then put Melissa back at her 1st leg spot, like what she was in 2022, and that can be like your final. And then honestly, the thing is like I love Tamari Davis and I love her at 1st leg, and I think that they could put her back at 1st leg for at least like the prelim rounds, and that'll be perfectly fine.
Yeah. So, Mac just kind of pointed this out, that Tamari was winning this race at 40 meters.
So it's going to be difficult to take the 1st leg spot away from her, which is why I feel like if she's not on the final, the final, 4, she needs to definitely be in that prelim. Like, don't take her off at all.
So we look at who made the relay pool, because I guess traditionally they say top 6. Sha'Carri Richardson, Melissa Jefferson, TeeTee Terry, Tamari Davis, Aaliyah Hobbs, Tamara Clark. So Aaliyah Hobbs is making the Olympic team and could potentially run in the relays. Heartbreaking for someone who, is one of the fastest Americans, in the regular season.
She is an American record holder in the 60s, so.
Yeah, you picked her to make the team. I picked Mackenzie Long, who didn't make the final, unfortunately, but, she's still got a shot in the 200 meters. This race was interesting from start to finish, and I think, like, yeah, it's a really special thing that is a training group all together made this team, and the way that they did, especially with TeeTee Terry taking that final spot. I mean, you got to think, what are these Netflix scriptwriters doing right now?
Oh my goodness! Yeah. I literally told Mitch I was writing the script last night. Actually,
that's how you drew this one out.
This is what.
To go home early. Good call. Yeah, way to go home.
All right, so that was the biggest final of the day. Today was a little bit of a shorter session.
We're there for like an hour.
Yeah, I know. It went by really fast. Again, to the point that I've been hammering home. Let's make the trials not 10 days. Let's tighten it up a little bit.
Bring it in.
My first USA's was like 4 days long. So where did the extra 6 days come from?
It's just traditionally
you have 6
trials.
events in one day.
Yeah,
exactly.
Killing a lot of time.
I obviously know nothing.
All right, so women's 100 meter semifinals is what we kicked it off. We kind of already wrapped that, and then we got to the men's 100 meter. First round.
What a show.
And let's go heat by heat in this one.
Yo,
so
boy.
The very first one, Noah Lyles with some dramatics. First off, he's walking into the stadium, with the fashion walk-ins that he does at every sort of meet. This whole entire season, he's been carrying around a briefcase. Has not opened it for people. He's just carrying around a briefcase. You know how like the saying is like the bring your lunch pail to work kind of person, like a blue collar guy. Like he's a iron briefcase, the kind that looks like you see on Deal or No Deal. No clue what's inside. People can only speculate. What's your guess as to what's inside the briefcase?
Was it not the Yu-Gi-Oh card?
No, he pulled the Yu-Gi-Oh card out of his singlet.
God, that'd be so anticlimactic
if it was
another Yu-Gi-Oh card. It's like, oh, you like that one?
Another Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Look at this one. No, that'd be.
I don't think so.
I think that's what it was.
Do you think that's what it was?
I think it was the Yu-Gi-Oh card.
What, is he just carrying it around now?
I thought he pulled the. No, I think what we saw in the text messages.
He would have to take it out at some point,
We'll
right?
have an update from the chat shortly because we didn't watch the television broadcast.
He pulled it out on the
Jesus,
He
so that's
pulled the
louder.
card out of his uniform, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but I think that's what was in the.
That would no, because
In the
I think
thing.
he's trying to do like a
But he
big
can't. He's
reveal.
not going to be able to bring that briefcase out on the track.
Yeah, I don't think he's
Exactly.
gonna bring out the briefcase on the track. That's
Where's he
what it's like.
leaving it?
I don't think he thought this whole plan through all the way to the very end.
I don't
It's
know.
like-
All I know
Who
is that
guards the
he stuck
briefcase?
that to his underarm titty and was like, I'm gonna just
Yeah.
leave this there.
So I think someone in the chat said the briefcase had 3 different uniforms. I don't know if that's true. They said it was a Blue Eyes White Dragon Yu-Gi-Oh
Yeah.
card. Okay, yeah, I did see that. You're an anime guy person? Like,
I don't watch Yu-Gi-Oh though.
Anime.
Anime. Oh, we about to cook you.
Shout out to all the
Everybody
anime
cook
fans
Chris
out
in the
there.
chat for saying anime instead of anime.
Okay. So what's the significance? You don't know what the
I
significance
don't
of
watch
Blue Eyes White
Yu-Gi-Oh,
Dragon.
so yeah, no,
All right,
I don't
we'll
know.
wait
Big
for
assumption.
the YouTube chat to eventually catch up to explaining to us what is the significance of the Blue Eyes White Dragon.
No, I can actually
You
tell you
got
from being a
it?
kid. It's like the rarest card in Yu-Gi-Oh. It's like, you know, in Pokemon, and it's like you
Yeah.
get like what's it called, PSA 10? Like
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
crisp.
yeah.
He's probably got like a crisp
He probably-
blue-eyed white dragon.
Yeah.
And he's pulled it out of there and been like, hey guys, have a go at this. I heard rumors that it was actually Jenkins' speed suits in there.
Yeah.
Jenkins' bodysuits actually in that briefcase.
All right.
Yeah.
Again, to people, go on our Instagram, like the Eric Jenkins reel from earlier in the day. We're trying to hit 4,000 likes so that Mac dropped the link in the chat so that the 356 people watching right now can like that post so that we can get Eric Jenkins in a speed suit. So, all right. So back to Noah Lyles. The theatrics were there. Steps to the track. Takes care of business. 992. Fastest time of the day. Looking smooth.
Yeah.
It was partly the white speed suit, but in
Speed
Yeah, I
suit.
think
I've
it's
never
cool. I
seen
way
like
it
better
in white
than the
one.
yellow.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I know Mackenzie said she really liked her uniforms, but I'm not a fan of the colors. I like how they fit on the athletes. I just don't like the colors though.
You don't like
They're
the
very
Adidas
little-
colors?
I don't like the
They
colors.
look like a sorbet.
I like the
They
colors more
do
than
look-
Nike. I don't like their colors at all. But
Yeah.
Adidas.
You
I
know
can-
what?
I
Who
can deal
kids we
with.
really love?
Yeah.
We love
New Balance.
the New
Yeah.
the New
Yeah.
Balance has the
Best
best
joint.
kit. Well,
Yeah.
like that's not even a debate.
Literally.
It is the
Yeah,
best kit.
yeah.
But all right, so 992, Kenny Bednarik, 10 flat, second. Kenny gave a little bit of a look right before the finish line, and you know, I don't know if he thought he had it, but in general, those two guys will be facing off. This kind of took a little bit of like the spice out of seeing these two in the final because I thought Kenny. There's a chance Kenny could win the 100-meter final.
I think he could too, but like, I think it would be way more exciting. And Noah, if you listen to this, don't be trying to beat nobody's head in. I think it would be
He is listening.
crazier if Kenny beat him in the 2 than if he beat him in the 1.
Yes, the
Only
dramatics
because-
about it. Yeah.
Only because we know that Noah's like secondary event is the one. Like, yes, he is the world champion. Yes, he runs 9.8. But like at the end of the day, we still know that that's his second event. So if you beat him in the second event, like, okay, cool. You beat him at his game. That's a whole different beast we got to talk about because Kenny already did it back in Tokyo, but to do it now with like, you know, more social media around the issue, more popularity, him being the 3-time national champion, world champion, like it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah. So he knows it. Noah's listened to the show enough, which again, I don't get the idea of this is not, we don't talk about sprints. Like he listens to the show, he hears what I say. Like I've said to him before that like him losing would be very good for just the overall plot. And we've addressed this before to your face, Noah. But in general, Noah's the favorite going into to the final or the semifinals. And I think he'll take care of business and make it all the way to the final. Heat 2. First thing that I did when I got to the track was I texted our photographers and I said, Johnny and Justin, snipe Fred Kerley the moment you see him. I felt like I was like FBI director or something like that.
An agent?
And I was like, we got to know what's on Fred's feet. And we got our answer. And what was Fred going to wear? Fred was wearing a pair of Nike spikes back to his 2022 ways, and which we don't know for sure if that's, you know, a signed contract. I assume not because the top part he was wearing an Oakley kit. Really good looking
Cool
kit.
kit. I'm not gonna lie. That's a sick kit. Yeah.
Considering like all like the how kits be looking when they're not like the major shoe brands, I think Oakley did a pretty great job.
Yeah. Nice and sleek. Didn't overkill
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Just let it be nice.
Where are the uniform police tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's what I gotta say. I am sure that Jamaican Twitter is absolutely ripping Fred Kerley apart right now.
Why is
because
that?
If you don't remember his tweet about, world record, next time I step on the track.
Yeah, and today was the first time he stepped on the track for the 100.
He went 10-0. So I'm not sure what the Jamaicans are saying, but Fred Kerley, if I were you, I would probably stay off of Twitter.
Man, I need to get on Jamaican Twitter.
Yeah.
These guys flame.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Fred's going to wake up tomorrow, tweet greatness, and go on
And
with
then the
his day.
Jamaicans will still continue to be mad. So,
I love Fred.
So Fred advances 10:03, looked comfortable. Like, we got a report from Anderson Emerald in the mix zone that said that, like, Fred didn't stop to talk to the media, but he just, like, slowed down, took his sunglasses off, gave a wink, and walked off.
That is so
very
sick.
mysterious.
I love that. He's my favorite U.S. sprinter.
Yeah?
Fred.
what about
Hands
me?
down. Well, I'm talking in this race.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know that
okay.
you're my
Yeah,
favorite.
okay.
Yeah, you know that you're
I know
my
where you
favorite.
stay at.
Yeah.
So,
that is true.
All right, moving on to Heat 3. Now, you got loud in the stadium for this
Let
one.
me tell you about my friend Zacchaeus Beard.
Oh, okay. I thought
Okay.
you were talking about Brandon Hinklin.
Oh, I mean, he cool too. I just don't know him.
Oh, I thought
I
that's who
wasn't
you were.
screaming for him. I was screaming for third place.
Oh,
Like-
okay. So tell us about him.
Okay, so Zacchaeus Beard, let me tell you about him because I think that he has a chance of making the relay pool. I know that's a tall order to ask considering, we've got Noah, Fred, Kenny, Kyrie, whole bunch of people and, a lot of things that politics. But regardless, I still think that he has the opportunity to make the final because Zacchaeus is not a Power 5 athlete. Like, he's not in the SEC. He's not Big Ten. He used to. He graduated now. But he went to Northwestern State, and he made the final at NCAAs. And, you can get 9 people to finals, and he placed top 8, so he was an All-American running 10:04 legal. And so I think that people really need to understand that these are some of the athletes that, like, y'all should be concerned about when it comes to making these finals. Like, some of your favorites might be pushed out because of these athletes like Zacchaeus, Brandon, and a couple of others who are just, like, continuing to make a name for themselves, but, like, nobody really knows who they are.
Yeah, and again, kind of in these first round of the 100, it was weird because, like, Mitch and I were watching, and we were just like, so we're running this entire round so that these guys have to only beat 1 or 2 people in their heat. Like, kind of feels like a little bit of a waste of time. Again, there's a way to shorten the meet, but in this one it was a little bit interesting. The last place finisher was Cravant Charleston in 10:49, so something is up still with the last year's U.S. champion. This was his opener. We have not seen him race since Budapest of last year. You just gotta hope that Cravant figures it out because when the guy is healthy and firing, he's a talented guy.
I mean, he is the U.S. champ. So
Brandon Hinklin, someone that you said before, like, we should be watching and be cautious of.
I don't remember what he is exactly, but he's definitely top 5 on the list, like, before coming into, like, racing.
He's ranked number 19 in the world.
Exactly. 9:94 is not a slow time. I know everyone's expecting, every 100-meter guy to run 9:7 by now, but at the end of the day, that's not necessarily the case. But he is showing that he has the opportunity to make the relay pool as well.
Yeah. Moving on to the next one, Christian Coleman.
Double C's.
Just takes care of business.
He didn't really stop to talk too much either.
No, 999, and also he just decimated this field. Like, the next guy is 10:14.
That was really bad. Like, honestly, I don't know if they, like, set everybody up on purpose, but, like, Christian just whooped them.
It wasn't close.
Yeah, not at all.
A
He
little bit of a
walked it
shocker
in.
in this one, though, that you get blown away by Christian Coleman, is that Brandon Carnes didn't make it through.
Yeah.
He was, a member of the relay pool last year, and, super talented guy, doesn't make it. But last heat, we'll talk
there's
about.
Dennis right there.
Oh, wow. We should probably.
Hi, Coach. Congratulations.
That's epic.
All right, so that was pretty cool. Heat 5, Courtney Lindsay takes the win in 10 flat. Then Ronnie
He's
Baker.
also somebody people should be very, very scared of.
Yeah, both in this one and in the 200.
He is coached by Dennis.
Yeah.
so
Well, okay. Yeah. Someone did bring it up in the chat.
he is coached by Dennis.
Dennis might put 2 people on the men's 100 team.
Here's the thing, like, that's the thing. So, this entire year, when we're talking about, like, Dennis's guys, it's been Kenny, Kyrie, and not Courtney. I don't know why they didn't come out of my mouth. But those three have literally been running on the international circuit and have just been like completely dominating everybody. Like no matter if it's Courtney, Kenny, or Kyrie winning, it's literally all those three going overseas and placing top 3 in almost every event that they race when it comes to the 1 or the 2. And so similar to, Sha'Carri, TeeTee, and Melissa, like they have the opportunity to upset some stuff too. And regardless, even if Kyrie doesn't have the opportunity to make it as an individual, he was on that world relay 4x1 that made it to the Olympics. So even if he doesn't make it as an individual, I think his spot on that relay is pretty much secured.
I do think that in a way, like there are the guys like Kyrie King, Courtney Lindsay, I would like for them to just finish as high as possible come the final for our relay purposes.
Yeah.
Like I'm not necessarily picking those guys to make the team. Like I still feel a lot better about a team comprised of Noah Lyles, Christian Coleman, and Fred Kerley.
Yeah.
But I think it would be important for the United States' medal odds to come the relay that Kyrie King, Courtney Lindsay make the final so that it isn't left to as much politics in selecting those guys.
And what we've learned so much over the years when it comes to 4x1s at major championships, you don't need to have all the fastest guys on the relays. It's all about team camaraderie. So why would you not put the 3 training partners plus Noah Lyles on your relay?
Agreed.
And they already ran together and they ran
They're all in
extremely well.
Claremont.
Exactly.
So that's why World Relays worked for them. And so, one final note on this first round of the men's 100. Christian Miller, the high schooler.
So glad he pushed through, man.
But
Great kid.
he made us sweat for it
that
because
was so scary.
He ran 10:22 with a terrible start.
I think he might have just
like,
been a little nervous though.
True. I mean, it's hard to be critical of a high schooler competing against pros on this stage, but it was a bad start. And Mitch and I were watching the board, we're he only needs to beat 2 people.
Yeah.
And he got the last auto qualifier. He still would have made it through on time, but
just too. He only got a ride in the last.
And like you said about being critical of him, still realizing 10:21 at 18, yes, I get his PR is 9:94, but 10:21 at 18 is not slow. I get it. There's people that are faster than him. He didn't run the best race. Okay, cool. But as I said, 10:21 at 18 is not terrible. So please do not clap back at Christian because I will come at y'all in the comments and Chris will delete them later. So
I think we got a question from our producer, Mac.
Oh, no, I'm
How are you
laughing
doing
about
there?
something
You're
totally else.
battling
No, but
allergies pretty
yeah,
bad
no,
right
I'm
now,
looking at my
buddy.
phone, and my eyes, I'm absolutely cooked right now. But to Christian Miller's point, what you're talking about, I think he just looked a little flat today. We saw him last week at New Balance Nationals, and he just looked a little bit poppier last week. I think today was honestly a down day for him, and I don't know. I look for him to do a little bit more in the next round. I think he was just a little flat today.
He can definitely
but he
make
made
a
it through. He
comeback.
got a big cue.
He can
it's
make
okay.
a comeback. You never know what can happen.
That's a big stress relief for him to get out of the first round. He
And also,
like you
New
said, he might be
Balance
more freed up.
Nationals, you got to think about it. New Balance Nationals, you ain't got not one kid out there that can touch you.
Yeah.
So you can go out there and just run and not have any pressure on you. You're going to be the national champion. It's just about having fun. But there's a lot more at stake here. And if I was in his position, I would be a little nervous too because it's yes, I know that I'm capable. I know that I'm in the conversation. I'm in the mix. But I have to live up to what everybody is saying about me.
Think about that experience from him. He was just on the line at the Olympic trials with a full-packed Hayward Stadium with the nation's best 100-meter runners alongside of him, and didn't fall start. Look, he ran. He was okay.
Yes.
Not great, but he got the job done.
Exactly.
Big cue. He's on to the next round. That's the job, and he did it.
Yeah, and he did it looking great in a nice New Balance kit.
That was
Great
a nice kit. That was a nice kit.
Great kit. Real quick on the women's triple jump that went down. Coming into this one, again, there were only 3 women who had the standard and was going to go pretty chalk. Jasmine Moore comes off with the victory in 14:26.
Go, Jazzy.
But she had to hold off a really strong challenge from Katura Orji because the 2 of them went 14:22 on their final jump. Katura jumped 14:22 on her 6th and final jump, and then Jasmine Moore also jumped a little farther, 14:26. 3rd spot goes to Tori Franklin. experience is the first word that comes to mind when I look at this team. Like, they've been on the last couple World Championship teams, and now I think
Has
it's really time
anybody cracked these 3 in like the past 3 years?
No, this is it. This is the state of the U.S. women's triple jump right now, and Katura retiring at the end of this year is going to open up a spot for someone else. I'm looking at Imani Oliver, who finished 4th today, 13:07. Not that far off of taking that 3rd spot. And that's the only avenue I think that I see in looking at next year. So that was the women's triple jump. Let's move on over to the men's shot put.
Your boy. Chris was very vocal during the men's shot put.
Yeah.
It was very up and about during the
Talk
men's
to
shot
us
put,
about
actually.
the men's shot put.
Everyone knows I'm a big Joe Kovacs guy. Like huge.
Uncle Joe.
And, I got to text him to try and see if we could get him on the show tomorrow. He saw me yesterday, and he was like, I got to stop by Prince Buckler's. And I was like, you bet, man. I think what I want to plan is that we have a big ice cream sundae waiting for that man right here on this set, and just have a nice, Sunday conversation.
Tuck in.
But Joe, 22:43 on that first throw. He had to respond to a monster first throw by Ryan Crouser, who went 22:44. Again, there were a couple question marks with Ryan coming into this one, with just this is his opener, and he'd been dealing with some elbow stuff, and his pec got injured too, and then it was back to the elbow. But Crouser just launched it on the 4th throw, 22:84. Crowd on their feet. They love him here. And so holds up for the victory. That's his season's best. Joe finishes 2nd. And then Peyton Oderdahl, who has the Olympic standard, ends up in that 3rd spot. It took a big clutch 5th throw for him, because before that, I think Jordan Geist was in 3rd place. And so, someone like Peyton making the Olympic Games. So the men's shot put. One of these days, I think what we're going to do is we're going to call our intern, Paulie Throws, and just get his take
Phone
on
a
just sort of,
friend.
it's
probably late at night, Chris.
No, he's clipping this show right now for our
what?
social media. That's his job right now.
Make sure you clip my rant at the beginning,
It's already
Paul.
up. Yeah.
It's already up?
It's already up. So by the
Awesome.
time you check your phone after the show's done, you'll probably see that you've got a couple replies from Jamaica coming your way.
I love y'all, though. I love Jamaica Twitter. They know I do.
How do I get on Jamaica Twitter? I want to get on
Okay,
this.
first you're gonna follow.
This seems electric.
First you're gonna follow Rory Fitzroy. He Jamaican. He used to go to LSU.
Okay.
Then you're gonna follow Kamal.
Yeah.
I don't know Kamal last name.
Ford.
Kamal Ford. Me
Yep.
and Kamal.
You go
locked
back and
in.
forth?
No, we locked in.
Oh, you like
he
each
love
other.
me.
Oh.
And then you can follow Owen, because I think Owen's
Owen
British.
_M.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's British, but I think he British, but he loves Jamaica.
Okay.
So yeah. Them 3.
That it makes Twitter so much more
I
fun.
want to be on it. Yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds just electric.
If Paulie, if you're watching this right now, which you are because you're clipping this show, give me a FaceTime and I'll bring you on. I'll just put your mic to here, and then you can share your takes.
Put him on the spot.
But other races that took place today, we had the women's 400-meter semifinals, and let's address the first surprise was that we saw Shamir Little line up for this one in the
I'm
second
so confused because she said out of her own mouth that she was not running. But here's the thing, though. I mean, you did say yesterday, she did run 50.1, so why not, try to make the team in the 4? But the thing is I'm still erring on the side of even if she makes the team, she's still not going to do the open 4, because if it's one thing that I've learned about Arkansas is that all they do is train. They don't run the 400 hurdles until sometime next week, right?
Yeah.
So it's still a training week for her. And so for her and for their training group, it might be best to be running hard stuff like this to get you ready and to get you primed. I was talking to Alexis Holmes after, she ran.
Folks, hold that thought. We got
Oh, he's
Paulie
quick.
Throws calling in immediately.
Look at him. Hi, Paul.
What's up, Paul?
Everyone, give a quick say. Can you hold my mic for a second?
Yeah.
Say a quick hi to
Oh, it's-
Paulie Throws, who is our. Let's see.
You got to get
We
closer.
gotta get really close.
No.
You look good, Paul.
There we
Yeah.
go. Everyone, that's Paulie
You
Throws.
want me to
Stop.
hold it?
All right, Paul, give us your men's shot put takes after that competition.
I mean, Ryan Crouser is, I mean, what can you really say about him at this point that hasn't been said already? It's his season opener, coming off a lot of injuries. He said he really hadn't been throwing for a while before, like the week before Prefontaine, I think he said yesterday. So he's only really seriously been training for a month. And he opens his season with his 5th straight outdoor title. And it's a mark that only 8 men in history, including himself, have thrown further than at 22.84. I don't know what his schedule is going to look like in between now and the Olympics, but he's got to be the favorite once again and dispel. I mean, it's not a knock at all on the great early season marks that Leo Fabry and Joe Kovacs have had, but when you see him perform like this in his opener in that fashion with all the pressure on him, you know, in his like kind of pseudo home arena here in Hayward, I mean, there's really not much you can say about it other than just he's the greatest of all time.
Were you worried at any point? Because I was rooting. You know me, I root very hard for Joe Kovacs, but I thought that this was his best shot to beat him, I think.
I agree. I said in the preview, I said in my tweet yesterday, I thought Joe was going to win tonight. Shout out to Bo Throws, a great throwing account on Twitter and Instagram. He tweeted out after the meet and he said, "Don't bet against Ryan Crouser," and I was feeling very bad because I had bet against Ryan Crouser. I thought Joe Kovacs was going to win. And then, Ryan opened up at 22.44. I was very surprised that it only took 22.44 to win. Like, when Joe opened at 22.43, I did not think that was going to be his best throw of the competition. So that was a little bit of a surprise to me. But yeah, I'm not really concerned about Joe because he is a great championship performer. You look at Doha, he's got silvers at the last 2 world championships, even last year where the season hadn't necessarily gone the way he probably would have liked with, the struggles of raising 2 newborn twins. He still comes out and takes the bronze in Budapest. So I'm not concerned about him, but I was pretty surprised to see him finish second today.
All right, tell us about Peyton Orderdahl. Like, what does this mean for him to make the team?
I mean, it's the same 3 guys that we sent to Tokyo. I think Peyton finished, I want to say, like 10th maybe in Tokyo.
How do you not remember, Paul? I expected better. I thought you would know all 10 places of the Olympic shot put final.
I'm sorry. That was like the first meet that I had ever really paid attention to, so my memory's a little fuzzy. Peyton was 5th in Budapest last year, so he's improved so much since then. He threw 22.26 today, which, like you guys mentioned, it was his 5th round effort. I'm pretty sure he was in 5th going into that, so I was a little bit worried, but he's just been so consistent this year. Like, with how good Fabry, Crouser, and have been, it's going to be tough for him to land on the podium, but he was already one of the best in the world. Like I said, 5th last year in Budapest, but he's had the 5 or 6 best meets of his career pretty much in a row to start this year. So he is in the form of his life. It's just unfortunate that he's going up against probably the 2 greatest shot putters in history, and then Leo Fabry, who's having one of the best starts to a season we've ever seen.
All right, final thing from you before we let you go to get back to clipping, and you could clip your whole segment and tweet it out. What I need to know is give us a decathlon update. Where do we stand?
So Heath Baldwin of Michigan State dropped a massive PB. I'm pretty sure it was almost 200 points. He opted not to compete at NCAAs because that would have been 2 weeks in between decathlons, which is pretty tough. But he opted not to compete at NCAAs, saved it for this one, and it paid off. He's a national champion now. He's going to Paris. He is, I think, his 86.50, I think it was. I don't have the results pulled up right now. But he's, top, I think it was 6th in the world right now. He already had the Olympic standard, so he's good to go. He finished ahead of Zach Zemek. And then Harrison Williams finished 3rd. Hart absolutely breaks for Kyle Garland, who had picked up a little bit of an injury in warm-ups for the pole vault and eventually had to pull out. he was in second through 7 events, I think. And so he was doing really well and then has to pull out, and he is going to miss his chance to become Olympian once again. So it's really unfortunate for him, but I think the 3 that we're sending to Paris, medal chances are going to be tough because, Leo is there, and then you've got the Canadian duo with Pierce Lepage and Damian Warner, and then some other really great Europeans that we saw at European Championships. So medaling is going to be tough, but really great signs from Heath Baldwin in this one.
All right, Paul. Well, thanks for giving us a little arm workout holding this mic and this phone up for the longest time. We'll call you back tomorrow for some more updates.
I'll be ready.
All right, everyone, give it up for Paulie Throws, everybody.
That was amazing.
Paulie Throws. He's got a photographic memory, that kid.
That was incredible.
He can look at a results sheet and then just rattle off exactly what happened, and I'm impressed. But no, he's our resident big throws guy.
He was clipping off distances like it was nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Even recounting where everybody'd finished. I couldn't even tell you he was top 3 in the last race.
I'm disappointed that he
wild.
doesn't remember who the top 8 at the Olympics were.
Maybe
the men's
test him
top
next
eight.
time, see if he's gone back and refreshed.
I bet you he will know. All right, so back to the 400 that we were discussing, Caitlin.
But yes, as I was saying before, the way that Arkansas trains, this might just be what she needs to make the team next week. I know it sounds crazy, but y'all know, Coach Johnson, he got the plan. And from what I learned from Alexis when I was talking to her down after she ran a PR of 50.01, she's so close to breaking 50. If y'all don't remember, she did run 48 seconds in that relay against Femke. So it's there. It's in her system. But when I was speaking with her, she was like, yeah, girl, we run 1Ks. I said, as a 400-meter girl, you run 1K? She was like, yeah, sometimes 3 to 5 of them. I'm like, are you crazy? How do you get through them? She's like, I literally have tears in my eyes every time Coach Johnson is like, yeah, we're going to be running 1K today. And I'm like, well, no wonder you guys are so equipped to run so many rounds and run so fast for that long, because you guys are training 800-meter runners. I don't know any other 400-meter training group that runs anything actually over 600 meters, because for us, Coach Green never had us over 600 meters. I probably would have cried too. So, this is probably what Shamir needs. I mean, she could, surprise us and go with what you said and make the 400-meter team and just decide to do that and the 4 hurdles. But I personally view it as a training plan that it will just end up working for her.
Agreed, because, the question was posed to her in the mix zone by NBC's Nick Zaccardi, and he was like, so would you do the 400 hurdles double at the Olympics? And she said, I'm taking things one day at a time. And, I think that's 100% fair right now. It doesn't allow the schedule that Mitch and I were looking at. The schedule, it just doesn't allow for it. It's very challenging.
Can't be done. It's back-to-back days.
And here's the thing, I guess Coach Johnson just has a habit of creating athletes who love to do the 400-meter hurdle double. I mean, Britton Wilson, that was her staple before she got out of Arkansas.
Seems like a feeding system for Grand Slam track.
I think something might be in the works, but even still, Shamir is making herself a very strong candidate for the relay pool as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You think of just sort of everyone came into this thinking, oh, Gabby Thomas is good, running the 400 so that she can make a statement. I think Shamir, there's a chance Shamir steals that spot with these performances.
I think she could, but here's the thing, the best part about being a 400-meter runner is that you've got 2 relays to make it on. So there's double chances for you to showcase your skills, and so Gabby could be on one, Shamir could be on another. There's also trials and finals for both of those. And so if you are a 400-meter runner, I know it's scary because, running 48, 49 seconds, that's going to hurt. But just know, if you make the final, there are 4 opportunities for you to show yourself at the Olympics.
There were surprises in this one with who got knocked out. No Talitha Diggs, ranked number 8 in the world, has made the last 2 teams, I believe. Rosie Effiong out.
She looked really tired when she came down there. She wasn't sad or anything, but honestly, the way that she's been running so much over the NCAA season, I know we talked about sometimes the college kids might not have it in them at this point, but I think despite her not making the team, she has had an absolutely stellar season.
Yeah, and then just looking around as I'm perusing some of these results, big shout out to New Balance's own Kendall Ellis running 49.81. That's her first personal best in 6 years, I believe.
Kendall and Lena are the 2 girls that I remember watching when I was in high school, and I was damn, I gotta go to college and run that fast if I want to be successful. So like to see Kendall like really like you said, 6 years. Was she the first one that broke 50 for the collegiate record? Was it her or was it Lena?
I can't remember.
Whichever one of the two of them did it, it don't even matter. I'm just so glad to see Kendall back, absolutely crushing it, and y'all better not sleep on her.
Yeah. Don't sleep on her. New Balance's own Kendall Ellis. All right. Let us now swap the two of you. I'll let you rest those vocal cords because like they've been working, Caitlin.
Well done, Caitlin. That
Amazing
was
job.
incredible.
No more need for me.
And now you got to go deal with Jamaican Twitter.
Yeah.
So good luck.
Let Jamaica Twitter say something to me. I can fight
Put them
babe.
shades on.
Thank you guys for joining. Let's bring on Eric Jenkins and
Yeah.
Karen Lesowitz. So if you see him, send him up.
Do you want me to
Mitch,
move around?
Mitch, you could
Oh, wow,
stick
the middle.
around.
I don't know. Should
I think we've got 4 mics.
Yeah. Okay. I'll keep the mic.
So the next event that we're going to talk about is the only distance race that we had today,
Yeah, only one.
which was the men's 1,500 meter final. And so coming into
Semi.
today, semifinal. Thanks for that good catch.
That's okay, I got you.
So coming into this one, we said there were going to be some surprises.
Yeah.
And I think it was just so interesting how both of these races shook out.
Here he is.
Eric Jenkins coming up onto the set, bringing an ollie pop. He knows the deal.
Oh, there's already one
Karen,
there.
come on over.
Yeah.
All right, Eric.
We shouldn't be close to each
Let's.
other.
I love the shades on Chavez.
Yeah,
It
that.
honestly is a
Shades
whole
Chavez
different
at night
vibe.
is
Yeah.
different.
It's
A little unhinged.
different.
It's funny because when the show starts,
never
like the
sat
sun
in.
is like really beating down on us, and then by the time it gets to 9 p.m., now we've finally got sunset, and I'm just looking a little silly with these sunglasses on. But wow, we got the whole distance.
This
crew
is
on.
this is amazing.
Well,
All
this
right.
is it.
2 wild races.
Yep.
First heat in particular was just like these guys were coming in 7 wide into the final 100 meters. Ends up with Cole Hawker coming away with the win, 3:37. Like he is the guy right now. And then just let's see, it was 3:38.08 for second place. 6th place was 3:38.50 and did not advance. So really feel bad for Sam Prakel, one of the guys who's like consistently in these
Yeah.
finals.
Is this
but
the first final he's? When
Would
was the
have
last
to
time
be,
he
yeah.
hasn't made the final?
probably since 2016,
Wow.
maybe.
I mean,
Yeah.
I bet he made the final then.
Yeah.
I think this might be his first missed final.
Yeah, and it's a real shame to see that
Yeah.
in that heat in particular. Like there were a lot of Andy Powell coached guys with Joe Wascom, Luke Hauser, and then who was it? Sam Prakel. And the only one who advances out of that bunch was Joe Wascom with like. I mean, in general, this was the most physical. Nathan Green also made it through. Sorry about that.
It was an ugly race.
Yeah, but in this
Yeah.
heat, yeah,
In this heat in
in this
particular
heat,
was
yeah.
But-
Ugly race.
Sorry.
so physical.
Yeah.
What were your first impressions, Eric?
Yeah, it was a really physical race, a little slower than I thought it would be, but you did see Cooper Tier right to the front, followed by Cole Hawker staying out of trouble. But yeah, a little bit slower, which is going to lead to some physicality. Huge Liam Murphy with a huge close, going from. I mean, he
came from nowhere.
He was
Yeah.
way in the back. To finish second, so he looked great. But yeah, I mean Cole Hawker looks good. Looks
Yeah.
really good. I like how Cole looks going into this final.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, a little nervous about Cooper Tier's response. You know, he did get kicked down by 2 college kids, and I don't think that, bodes well for the ego. And I will say it just didn't look like he maybe had even enough gas to hang on a little bit. I do think he got locked, I think, in a rough position, maybe on the final lap, or just looked like he was tight, tucked in. So I'm hoping maybe he has, because it was a slower race, he's got a little bit more left in the tank for the final. But it made me a little nervous seeing that.
Yeah, would you change up if you if you were in Cooper's shoes as to like how you would have run this race?
I mean, really the only tactical mistake was he just got boxed a little bit. Whether I can't remember exactly when it was, if it was coming up to the bell or like
Yeah,
300 to go. He
at the
just
bell,
got
yeah.
got boxed in a bit, and he kind of did the right thing. Like you see, like Hawker he'll get boxed in a little bit, like in 100 to go, and he doesn't panic. He stays on that rail. Like he knows there's going to be some sort of like gap opening up, and he's confident in the kick. If you're Cooper, I think you just walk away from it. You know the final's going to play out differently, and you probably know that it's going to get stretched out a bit before the final lap, and there's going to be maybe a bit more room to run and not as much traffic. But I guess you would come to that. You just have to like take from this that you have like coming to that bell lap, you can't be sitting on the rail so much if it is really slow.
Yeah. One of the people we were watching going into this one just to see how exactly he would execute this race, because he's proven to be a really good racer so far this season, is Eric Holt. And like, you know, in any sort of sports show that is out there for a mainstream sport, you have to be you can be critical of some of these athletes, and I think this is one of the worst executed races at the trials. I mean, it was
ugly.
Yeah.
It was so and he said that, like, I interviewed him afterwards, and like, I love talking to Eric Holt because he's so honest. But he's like, man, that was the worst race I've ever run. And he was very honest. He was like, tactically, I panicked. I didn't stay calm. I didn't actually allow the race to come to me. I moved forward. I messed it up. I moved back. I messed it up. Like, he couldn't find his rhythm. But also at the same time, you can't blame it on that. Like, he just didn't race well. Like, he was wide. He was the widest guy on the track numerous times. But he just didn't seem that confident in the way that we've seen him run this year, and be confident in his kick and be confident in the way he runs. He was just panicked. You've
only got like a few. You don't have multiple moves at this level. Like if you're Eric Holt, you can't be wasting a lot of energy moving around in the pack, going back to front, for like doing all this extra moving. It will come back and bite you, and like it's all that unnecessary move like is just from. It's not really inexperience. It's probably just a bit of like that's anxiety. That's like race anxiety.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
What I think we're seeing too here is, you know, maybe people that are hoping to make that top 3 spot versus people who are hoping to make the final.
Yeah.
And I think we see that maybe exemplified in some of the races and how nervous someone is for a semi, as opposed to the calm and, you know, composed what we saw from, you know, my guy, Yared Nuguse.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a great setup, but, and like excellent point, Karen, because like I talked to Liam Murphy and Ethan Strand, and these two guys, you know, the epic fist bump at the finish line.
Yeah, such a
and
good
like,
beautiful.
they were both just on 10 after the race. They were just like, that was awesome. We had to, put on for the college kids. Like it was, we've both been racing each other like all season, and so that was like a sweet moment. And then I asked like Liam Murphy, I was like, so what's the plan for the final? Like, and he was like, you know what? I have to like actually sit down and talk to my coach, because like the only goal coming into this was to make the final, and now. He's a guy that has to.
That's like a when mom made pizza rolls pick. We got to get people captioning that.
Like, there are going to be guys, and this happens, I feel like, every single U.S. Olympic trials, who don't have the standard going into the final. So they're going to shotgun right to the front. Like, I think one of the epic races was the 2012 like U.S. Olympic trials 1500 meter final, and these colleges are just going to have to fully send it. But I think like. You know, like you brought up, Karen, Yared's not going to let the pace lag in the final, and he today tied the U.S. Olympic trials record, 3:34.09. These records mean nothing at a meet like this. It's just all about like advancing and finishing in the top 3. But he was experimenting with like different tactics compared to what we saw in race 1, and so kind of like leads to a little bit of a mystery as to what are we going to see from Yared in the final, and is he the guy that dictates it?
Yeah, I think Yared will be. I think Yared will be the guy to dictate. I think he's going to. I think other guys look to Yared as the guy to dictate it. He's the best American 1500 guy in the past few years. So I think people give him that respect and look to him to set the tone. But I don't think that it's necessarily just his race. I think Cole Hawker certainly has a shot to beat him. But I think the way that Yared runs, and I think people will expect it to be a faster race, and will kind of be expecting him to pull from a bit farther out and set up these fast times. And I think people are going to slot in and try and just hang on.
It feels like Hobbs has been just like a major beneficiary so far of the first 2 rounds, like just being in Yared's heat. Like
I think this is the best. Hobbs looked fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What stood out to you?
I mean, he looked really relaxed. He looked better running faster. Like he just stayed right on Yared. He looked very composed. He didn't look like he looked excited after race, like really happy and not gassed. I really liked the way he looked. He's super talented. I think these slower races are just like harder for him. He's got too much energy. He just like is bounced around a bit and wants to run harder.
Yeah.
I think he
That
looked
golden
really
retriever
good.
energy.
Yeah. And you don't know how, because you saw guys that in Heat 2 that made that, because it really was stretched out. Like the guys that were 4, 5, 6, 7 that all qualified, they worked really hard.
Yeah.
And coming into, they've got a day off, right? But they don't have a lot of time off. And that's it does take a lot to recover from, and you might feel these 2 races in 48 hours time.
I'm looking at what were some other big surprises from this first round, and Henry Wynn running 334 for a season's best. Like you talked to me in the mix zone just kind of before, you're like, man, that guy's just always been in the mix. It's someone we think of very similarly to Sam Prakel, where it's like always there, hasn't made the team individually, but today this performance kind of throws him sort of into that contender conversation a little bit even more. Nathan Green also 334.49. Powell's guys are ready to run fast, even though that's not what we saw typically during the NCAA season, because these races have gone a little bit more tactical. But when we look and say only 3 guys going into the final or 4 guys have the Olympic standard, it's someone new might snag that Olympic standard, and I'm looking at Henry Wynn and Nathan Green as potentially those guys.
We talked about this yesterday, didn't
we
we?
did,
Henry
yeah.
Wynn, he's a guy that's always tactically so intelligent, and he doesn't get spoken about enough. And I understand he hasn't won national titles and all that sort of stuff. But to your point on what this looks like in terms of qualification, if it's quick, if Yared is the guy that's tapped to try and lead it, these college kids are pushing as well because they're running fearless. If Henry Wynn can stay out of where the chaos is, and he can put himself in a position with 400 meters to go to be dangerous, I really think he's a guy that can take that spot. I really feel like he's a guy that can then put himself on a team. This is where he announces himself.
Yeah.
Henry always just closes really well. He's always got a really fast last 200, last 100. Looked great today. And we were talking about this yesterday, because he doesn't get a lot of credit. And he hasn't made teams because it's an incredibly hard team to make.
Yeah.
There's guys who are unbelievably talented and who will make teams in the future who are going to get left off.
Oh, this is now undoubtedly one of the hardest teams to make in the world. The men's 1500 meter team in the US. It is obviously, I know the East African countries are loaded as well, but you guys have depth beyond what any country can imagine. So it is such a tough team.
Yeah, well, I mean, and we saw the difference in time, right? To 3:37 versus 3:34. What do we think that's going to factor into the final? I would say 2 different heats that ran 2 different ways. What do we think that's going to look like, and what's it most likely to replicate?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, talking to go to the last person qualified, Craig Engels, right? He makes his way through. This is his 3rd Olympic trials final now, which he was chuffed about, and he was like, wow, I don't think he'd realize that. A reporter was like, I don't think many people have done that. So kudos to Craig. But even he was saying, his last lap, if you look at the splits, is the same as what Nuguse's was, but he was a second back when the bell came.
Oh, wow.
So
really?
Well, that's what he said. If it's not, it must have been close.
Yeah.
To have that sort of knowledge for him, I feel like these guys now have an opportunity to go, okay, that was wrong. And Craig said, I was in the wrong spot. I'm glad I got through, but you get a chance to reassess this now. Like Eric said, you get a day to really reload. And it's all right, I need to be right there. These guys that got strung out, I wouldn't be surprised if they're further up the pack than maybe what they'd intended to be going into the final. But just stay out of the traffic. They're going to stay out of that back traffic of these kids that are now running through into their first Olympic trials final. Guys like Craig, guys like Henry are going to try and stay out of it. And I think be towards that front. Yeah, it's you can't be... You don't have the luxury. These guys are too good. You can't be sitting back in a bad position and miss the jump when a guy like
Yared takes the front. There's the race right there. You're just not going to get those meters back, no matter how fast you close. You could close faster than him the last lap, but if he gets the jump on you with 4:50 to go and you're boxed in and you have to work to get out of that, and it's gone. Love seeing. I mean, this was a season's best for Craig right here. Craig's a big time. Like he brings it for these Olympic trials. He loves it. He's having fun out there. He's having so much fun. Like where a lot of guys are nervous and anxious. It's the biggest race of the year. It's the race you've been thinking about every run of the year. Craig's he's in the moment. And as an athlete, like that's the position you want to be in. So you can never count him out. It's an incredibly hard situation. That final is going to be brutal. And you wouldn't think that coming into this race, like Craig wouldn't be a guy that you're like, oh, he's gonna, like, he just hasn't looked great like the 2019 Angles that was winning the U.S. title, but he brings it for these. He gets up for the moment, and I would love to see him make that. Yeah.
To your point, he did make a comment where he was like, I've made peace with myself. If I become an Olympian, that's great. I fulfill a childhood dream. My life might become mental. That's in only Craig's way of saying it. Like, my life might be crazy if I become an Olympian. But he was like, I'm at peace with the fact that if I don't, that's okay. And I feel like if you can go in with that peace of mind and be like, okay, I want it, but if I don't get it, that's okay. Maybe that can free you up a little bit. Maybe it takes the pressure off what his last 2 Olympic trials have looked like.
Yeah, enjoy the moment. I mean, you almost didn't make the final, so you might as well enjoy the final. Yeah, have fun. I mean, it's the person who's the most relaxed and not getting overwhelmed by the moment is the person who's going to do the best.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, this is going to be a must-watch race on Monday.
Who do you think? Who do you think's 1, 2, 3?
So what we're going to do is like we're going to have. People really seem to love last year at the U.S. Championships. We had a little bit of like an old dogs segment where we, nowadays, like everyone stays somewhat close to the sport. And we had, Kyle and Mac moderating a discussion with Garrett Heath, Will Lear, Pat Casey, just guys who are in town. And I think we're sending out the bat signal tomorrow.
Wow.
To get the old dogs back together. So it'll be Jenkins, Kyle, Mac, Will Lear, Andy Weeding, I think, said he's down for it. We'll try and get Garrett Heath. Like, it's fun when some of these guys have a horse in the race where it's like, oh, Henry's obviously going to back. Garrett's obviously going to back Henry, and, Andy's got the easiest job backing Yared. But on top of that, like, it's so fun to hear just how all of these guys are going to try and predict what exactly happens. Maybe we get, I don't know, there's a chance we get Centro. Yeah. To, give some bold takes and predictions. But so I will, I'm not one of the old dogs, so I'm not in that. But for me, like right now, I look at this and I think my picks would probably be Cole Hawker for the win.
Oh.
Yared Nuguse. And in that third spot, it's so tough to pick between Hobbs and Cooper. I think because both of those guys like can make mistakes here and there. If I'm going to play it a little bit safer, I go Cooper. And I'm sure there's discussion with Cole as to what the race plan might end up being. But Cole's just on a whole nother level right now. Yared is super fit and I think I feel confident enough that he makes the team this time around. It's that third spot that's up for grabs.
Yeah. With Yared, I think, as much as I love my guy, I saw a little bit of maybe too close for comfort out there. He took the lead and he commanded it we don't always see him do. And he finished, and I think it was an incredible race. But I don't know, if I'm Yared, I do think I had one too many guys right there in a fast heat. And I think maybe I'm a little, some question marks when it comes to seeing Cole Hawker and seeing how easily, he took the lead with a 3:37.
Who would your 1, 2, 3 be then?
Yeah, I'm kind of on board with Chris. I feel like I go the safe bets, but I will say I'm going Yared for the win just because.
You have to.
I have to, but also I do think to me he's someone that's so consistent. We talked about this, and in a championship level race where you're so tired, it comes down to level-headedness and someone who's not going to make a tactical error and someone who is reliable. And to me, that's him. I think Cole Hawker too. And I'm going Hobbs Kessler. He's got the tenacity. He's the golden retriever energy. He wants it. And he's had 2, I think, great races coming off of what we saw, at a pre-classic with a major tactical error. I think he's recovered from that, and he wants it. He's hungry. He's fighting for 3.
Yeah. All right. You're not one of the
Yeah,
old
I can't
dogs.
ask the old dog.
Yeah.
Bad luck.
Don't ask the
No, no, I'm
He's
saying I
saving
can't
it.
ask
Yeah,
him. I mean, I think Cole is going to win. I think Yared, super impressive, obviously. There's no knock on that. But I don't know. There's something about the way that Cole's running at the moment. It is just effortless. It looks like also he's kind of faced a few different tactics through the rounds. And obviously he's been the leader of it once. But I feel like he's kind of ready to adjust and pivot and be fine no matter what the circumstance is. So I think he wins it from Yared. And I'm going to mix it up because I think... I think Hobbs, both all great picks, but I'm going to rock with my man Henry Wynn.
Really?
Oh, I like that.
100%, dude.
I like it.
I feel like, okay, Hobbs is young. He's incredibly talented. I feel like this situation of an Olympic trials final is new. That's a fresh thing for him. So I feel like that's going to be maybe a little bit challenging for him. And I just think Henry has been here so many times. Olympic trials, indoors, outdoors. He's a guy that's so smooth and tactically brilliant. If he can be right there with 200 to go, I think he's such a hard athlete to stop. And I would love to see him make his first team. So I'm going to rock with Henry. I'm going to lock in Henry Wynn on that 3rd spot. And I'm happy to die on that hill. Henry Wynn for me.
Chat likes Wascom, which I see that chat. And I think there's something there because at 3:38 I don't think is the fastest that kid can go this season. Like there's more in the tank for sure. So yeah, I mean we're in for a spicy one on Monday. All right, I think that does it for today, day 2 of the U.S. Olympic track and field trials here in Eugene, Oregon. Thanks to New Balance for allowing us to have this space to be able to rush back so quick after the 100. I wish we would have clocked what we just ran for 100 to get back to the mics. It's been great. So we're back tomorrow morning. This is the Good Morning Track and Field crew.
You're starting and ending the night with us, whether you like it or not.
And, pour those likes in because we need to get Eric Jenkins in a speed suit by the end of the trials.
Pour him in.
And
the tune has changed.
It's been a blast. Tomorrow, hopefully, we're going to, I got to work the phone to book some guests, but we've got our, 12 p.m. show. You know the deal. CITIUS MAG YouTube channel. Tons of interviews coming from the Mix Zone right now. And the coverage doesn't stop. So if you're tapped in on social, newsletters, this show, podcasts, whatever it is, we're hitting you from all angles for the next 8 days.
We gotta get a tally. Can we get a tally back there?
We do this. Why? Because we love what?
Track and field.
That's right, baby. All right.
Track
Chris
and
Chavez,
field.
Mitch Dyer, Eric Jenkins, Karen Lesowitz, Caitlin Hutchison, Mac Fleet behind the cameras, signing off for the night. Good night, track and field.